Welcome to Behind the Scenes. I am your host, Hector Montalvo. This show is dedicated to asking tough questions for you, the viewers. We bring you their responses, and we let you decide. Today, we continue our coverage of getting to know the candidates who are seeking to become the next city councilor for the Central District. Joining us today at our MCTV studios is Mr. Jamie Atkinson, candidate for city councilor for the Central District. Full disclosure, Jamie Atkinson is a friend of mine. And for the record, I do not believe or agree in his political views, his opinions, or his tactics. Mr. Atkinson, welcome to the show.
Mr. Montalvo, thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. You're running for city councilor.
Yes.
What made you run for city council?
Well, there's a number of things. One of the things is the city of Methuen is in a transition year. Next January, there's going to be a new mayor and at least 4 new city councils, 2 of which are going to be from the Central District. And I think it would be an injustice if both candidates, both of the new city councils in the Central District went in, were raw, because that would possess the possibility of other candidates bullying them and making their vote count less. So since I ran in 07, I ran for city council in 07, I was unsuccessful. I've studied a lot of the processes that go through local government. I've studied the budget, I've studied Rogers Rules of Orders, and other options as well. And I am running because I'm a lifelong Methuen resident. I have lived in the Central District my whole life. I'm proud to say that I graduated from Methuen High School. I'm proud to say that I worked for the school system for 3 years as well. And I want to help represent the Central District so they get their fair shake.
Let me ask you, what do you see the Central District needs, and what would you bring to fix it?
The Central District, even though you're a city councilor in the Central District, you do represent the whole city. I mean, you are representing the Central District. I think one of the things the Central District could use is a touch-up of the Methuen Square is one issue. There's some empty office space there that I would like to see rented out or leased out or bought. I also think that, obviously the constituents, the Central District was lucky over the last 6 years to have the representation of Mr. Cronin and Mr. Leahy. And if I'm elected, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected Central District City Councilor, if I earn that seat, because you don't win a seat, you win a game. This isn't a game. You earn a seat. If I'm fortunate enough to earn a seat in the Central District, I want to continue that representation of the constituents in the Central District. I'll be available 24 hours, 7 days a week. This will be a full-time job for me if I am elected. People can call me, even if I'm not elected, they can still call me. If they want to call me before the election, 978-394-7912. And I'll help anyone any way I can.
Now, I know you've been outdoor knocking and getting signatures, and you just turned in most of all your signatures. What are you hearing out there? What issues do you see most people are concerned with today?
A lot of people are concerned with the budget, and they're concerned with taxes as well. They're happy with the services we get, because Methuen is very lucky that we have some great services in the city of Methuen. And they're concerned with the tax. So a lot of people are hurting right now. A lot of people are on fixed income. A lot of people have, they go to the store and they have to decide do they want to buy item A or item B. So I want to help. I want to help people that are on fixed income, so we can try to help with the tax rate, whatever it may be. Will I pledge to never raise taxes? No. I think anyone who does that is irresponsible. I think it's dangerous, and I think it's a ploy just to get votes. You can't predict what the fiscal forecast is going to be, the economic forecast is going to be a year down the road. We just don't know. That being said, the only promise I will make is I will do everything I can, not only to keep taxes where they are, I will do everything I can to lower taxes, but I will not pledge to never vote to raise taxes, because you just don't know, and it's irresponsible.
Now, in the current city council, it appears that they are divided in voting for identification of a public official. Where do you stand on the issue of identifying a public official in their professional and personal capacity? Each case should be looked at separately. I mean, and that's the case. Overall, how would I look at it? I wouldn't be able to answer. You have to go by case. You can't just give a general answer to that. So I would have to go case by case. Case by case. Okay. This thing may be able to come up if you're elected at City Council, and you may have to vote for that, so we just wanted to bring that up.
And I would look at it case by case. I would study the facts. Having not been a city councilor right now, I don't have the facts, all the facts looking forward into the case that's being put forth right now in regards to Mayor Manzi and whether or not he's getting indemnification. I don't have that information, so it wouldn't be prudent of me to make a judgment on that right now.
What about in personal capacity, where most people are accountable for their own actions?
Again,
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Every case is different, and without having the information for that case, I'm not going to just give you a general answer.
All right. Let me ask you, what do you see should be the size of Methuen municipal budget? What do you think the size should be compared to what it is now?
Compared to what it is now, I think it's reasonable right now. You got to look at Methuen. And if you compare Methuen to other cities in the area, the budget is done overall. They could have gone up to 2.5% without doing an override. I believe the tax increase was 1.7%. Again, nobody running for office, either for mayor, for city council, for school committee. I honestly believe no one that's running for office in the city of Methuen wants to raise taxes. But if you're not going to raise the taxes and you're having overflow, you're short money, you have to make some serious cuts. And the last thing you want to do, you just take a look at the city of Lawrence. The last thing you want to do is you don't want to cut the size of your police force, your fire department. Also, you don't want to cut, unless you want, some people may, you don't want to cut, senior citizens. You don't want to, cut the hours, say the senior center. Same thing with the library. And those are some of the cuts. It's very easy for someone to vote no on a budget. But if you don't have specifics, we can equate the difference. Then I think it's the easy way out to vote no.
Now, we've seen and read in the papers in regards to Methuen's involvement with civil service. Where do you stand in Methuen's involvement with civil service?
Well, as you know, the fire chief is no longer in civil service, and I'd like to see it be the same way with the police chief as well. So that's where I stand on that, yeah.
Great. Now, what can you bring to the council that the current council has not brought yet if you're elected? What fresh ideas do you have to bring in to make Methuen a better place?
Like I said, I'm a lifelong Methuen resident. I grew up in Methuen. I've lived in the Central District my whole life, except for when I went to college. What I bring to the city council is fresh ideas, is a new voice, is someone that's willing to listen. The key is a lot of times people want to talk before they listen. My parents taught me a long time ago, listen before you talk. So what I would want to do is, I also believe, and I said this when I was interviewed on another show, that I think that every city council in the city of Methuen right now does a great job with their constituents. I think that's one area that everyone can agree on that is taken care of very well. I believe that as well. One thing I think I can do as a city councilor, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, is I can help. Right now there seems to be two factions to the city council. Well, a lot of votes go 5-4 one way or the other. I want to do everything I can to help everyone put everything aside and bring that city council as one united group.
No.
So that we can do what's best for the betterment of the city, not necessarily what's best for a certain district, a certain precinct, but what's best for the city of Methuen.
Now, should municipal employees have job for life in Methuen if you're a city councilor?
I think you asked me.
Not just as a city councilor, but just employment in general. Should that be a lifetime thing in Methuen?
That's why we have elections. If you don't like somebody, if you don't think they're doing a good job, you can vote them out. Am I for term limits? If you ask me that, I'm against term limits. And that's the reason why. I feel that the election itself is a term limit. That being said, if I am fortunate enough to be elected and I don't do a good job in 2 years, you're not going to have to vote me up because I won't run again. You have my pledge there. If I am not working up to my standards, what I think I set standards very high, if I'm not doing a good enough job, you're not going to have to vote me out because I will not run a second term.
Now, what about for employees that are not electable? Should municipal employees have guaranteed job for life in the city of Methuen?
Well, there's a process. If you want to get someone, if you don't think someone's doing a good job and they're in the union, there's a process you have to go through. And I think that process is fair and equitable. For the most part, it's a good reflection of the way to look at the process. Should someone have a job for life? If they're doing a good job up until retirement age, if they're doing a good job, why would you want to get rid of them if they are doing the job that they're hired to do and they're not only reaching their goals but exceeding their goals?
And if they're not doing a good job, should they be held accountable?
They should be held accountable and work their way so they can try to get them out of that, do the proper process. You have to do your due diligence, but go through the process to find someone who is capable of doing the job up to the standards that's expected.
Now, as a city councilor, if there was any type of resolutions passed or anything like that, how would you consider previous resolutions, the wordings, and how would you stick by a resolution? What would you do different than the current city councilors may not be doing?
Again, that's a tough question to answer if I don't have the resolutions in front of me. I mean, it's very easy for me to say, well, this is what I would do, but I'm not going to say that because it would be irresponsible for me to answer that question. If I don't have the resolution, I can't make a comment on it. And you can throw out these blanket questions all day long. We can sit there for half an hour, 3 hours, whatever you want, Hector, but I mean...
Fair enough. Let me just throw this at you. Here is resolution number 4830, which is basically the creation of the Management Consolidation Committee. If you can just read the bottom portion of it really brief, and I want to come back to you and get your understanding. If you can read it out loud so the viewers can
Sure,
also...
would you like me to read it out
Yes,
loud?
please.
Okay. Now, therefore, be it ordered that the City of Methuen, through its mayor, shall create an advisory commission to be known as the Management Consolidation Committee. Said commission shall consist of 5 members, with at least 1 educator, and the rest to be drawn from the financial and business community within the City of Methuen. This committee shall be granted access to the organizational charts of both city and school and given access to the fullest law extent to other records they shall deem necessary to complete the assigned task. This committee shall issue a report within 150 days of its formation, and said report shall be directed to the mayor and through him to the city council and school committee.
What did you take that paragraph to mean? Right now, currently in the city council, there is a municipal management consolidation committee made up of 3 current city councilors. Based on that statement that you made that it should be made up of 1 educator and the rest from the financial and business, do you see that that's a legitimate consolidation committee, management consolidation committee?
Who are the three city councils that are on
If I'm not mistaken, I believe Jennifer Canan is one of them. Jim Hadger may be a second one, and maybe Steve Zani as well.
No,
I would have to double check.
I believe that they're not on the management committee. I believe that they're on the finance committee, that those 3 run the finance committee. So it's 2 different committees you're looking at right there.
But there is a consolidation committee that one of them are involved in.
One of the 3.
Should any of the city councilors be sitting in that committee based on what you just read under the resolution 4830?
It doesn't say that they can't be on the resolution committee. I'd have to know what the full participation of the committee is, who the 5 people are on. Again, it's one of your pet peeves, and that's why you brought it up. I understand that you're trying to get me on it, but I can't make it. If I don't know who the 5 are, it's very easy to ask a question when you only give half the information. I want all the information before I answer questions like that.
And those would be the type of questions you'll be asking when proposals, legislation coming forward you would want. As far as raising taxes, you said you would not predict in making a pledge not to raise taxes, but it would be something that you would be considering.
I'd work as hard as I could to not only keep taxes where they are, but to lower them. But I would not make it. And some people have made a pledge. Some people in the past have made a pledge to never vote to raise taxes. Again, I feel it's irresponsible, it's dangerous, and it's a ploy. And it's great to get you a couple of votes up front, but it can come back to bite you.
Now, you have 3 other opponents going up for the city.
I have 4 other opponents now. 4 as of right now.
That's right. Someone else.
Actually, none of us are considered candidates until we're officially on the ballot. And I believe as of right now, I'm the one that's turned in his papers and had him certified.
So you have
as of yesterday.
Great.
Now, the other ones I'm sure will, but I don't know if all 4 of them will. If the 3 of them, I don't know what the dynamics will be there.
Now, let's just say you do have other opponents. I believe Dave LaValle is one of them. You have Fadi Shaheen also, and you have
Lisa Ferry.
Correct.
And then I believe another gentleman. I apologize. I don't know his first name, but I believe it's Mr. Lambert.
Okay.
But I don't know. I've never met him. I'm sure he's a great guy. I don't know him at all.
Right, and we're going to extend an invitation to the rest of your opponents also to appear on our show to answer questions for the viewers.
Sure, I'd really appreciate it if you'd interview them before you start airing these shows, so it's fair to everybody.
Well, we'll see what we can do in regards to that issue, Mr. Atkinson. Now, let me just go back for a second. Now, what are some of the issues that brought you to say, you know what, I'm going to go pull papers out? Was there a particular issue? I mean, was the high school, was that a factor for you? I mean, what was the factor?
When I ran in 07, the high school was a big factor, and it's still a factor now. And I have to say that the current administration, Mayor Manzi, as well as city councils that are on the council now, but more so councils that were on the council the last two periods, from 05 to 07, 07 to 09 and forward, as well as the school committee and the superintendents that were there during that time, Judy Scannell now and the prior one, have done a great job with the high school. That's something that I think once that high school is completed, the people that should be recognized, not necessarily the people that are going to be going into office this January, it should be the people that served for the past 6 years, 6 to 8 years, because they're the ones that have done all the work, as well as Representative Campbell and Senator Stephen Bedore.
Now, you've been involved in political in Methuen basically all your life. I mean, you're around.
I've been, not necessarily in politics, but I've been involved in Methuen my whole life. I was a former youth sports coach. I coached both soccer and basketball. I've also been involved with MCTV for well over 2 decades. And I've also helped do some different fundraisers to raise money for different charities and different organizations within Methuen.
Yeah. And you're also involved in a radio show. You also have a television television show called Politically Active here on MCTV.
As well as Patriots Pride and Red Sox Monthly.
That is correct. Now, so you're familiar with a lot of the different issues in Methuen. Is that an advantage for you versus your other opponents? Knowing, that you know what you read in the paper, it
helps me, but they have that same option. They have that same option to read the paper. They have the same option to call their elected officials to get information from them. They can go to the city council meetings as well. They can speak a public participation. If they wanted to do a political TV show, they could come to MCTV, take the classes, and host their own show. If they wanted to do a political radio show, they'd go to CCM and buy the time like I do and do a radio show. They have the same. No, a lot of people, and where I do have an advantage is, my work situation. I have the time to do these things. Other people, no knock on them. They have families, so I'm sure the family comes first, which I agree with 100%. And they have their full-time jobs, so they might not have the time, but they do have that availability if they wanted to do those particular activities.
Now, you give out all type of information on your show, and on your television show you talk with politicians and everything else, but talking with the people, what do they want to see? What do you think the people of Methuen want from their leaders as you go door to door?
Well, one of the things they want to see is they want to see a united city council. They want to see everyone working together to try to make the city better. I can honestly say that I think that the 9 city councils we have now, as well as the people that are running, they all want what's better to get it so we can start fresh, starting January 1 of 2012. And also, because remember, we're going to have a new mayor as well. I like to say, I was going to use the analogy like Rick Pitino used years ago. Larry Bird's not coming through that door. Kevin McHale's not coming through that door. Robert Parrish isn't coming through that door. Well, for the Central District, Mayor Manzi's not coming through that door. Phil Leahy's not coming through that door. Nobody thought Jack Cronin was going to be coming through that door, but there's a possibility that he is in a different capacity. So he ruined my one-liner. Thanks, Jack.
Now, what is a relaxing day for Jamie Atkinson?
What is a relaxing day for me? Well, I get the radio show in the morning. I find that relaxing, too. I mean, I get up anywhere between 4:30 and 4:45, and I read the newspapers and do some research, and then I go, and sometimes I stop on the way to get a very healthy breakfast. We won't say what it exists of. And then we go and do the radio show. And then after that, I go home and just do whatever I have to do. If I like to read a lot, so I read. Or I watch the Sox or whatever sporting event is on.
Nice. And what is a busy day like for Jamie Atkinson?
A busy day for me would be starting the same way with the radio show, and then having an hour off, then going back and doing another radio show, because on Tuesdays we have Politically Active after AM Live. So I will do the other radio show, and then after that we have a meeting, and then possibly come here and do a Politically Active TV show, go home for a little bit, come back, and then do either Patriots Pride or Red Sox Monthly.
Nice. Now, you say if you're elected, this would become a full-time position for you, and right now it's currently part-time for all city councilors. You would be making this full-time for yourself.
I would be available.
You'd be available.
Right, because I'm available 24/7.
Nice. So, how open and transparent will you be with your constituents if you were to be elected in regards to freedom of information, things that they're entitled to know?
If I'm fortunate enough to be elected city council, any of my constituents, not only in the Central District, but also within the city of Methuen, they'll be able to call me anytime and ask me any question they want. I gave the number before, I'll give it again, 978-394-7912. That's my cell phone number, and I answer it all the time. And I'll be able to, and if they have any questions, if they want something to do with the Freedom of Information Act, that's their right to ask for that, and they can put in the paperwork and ask for that. I do hope, though, that, I think sometimes with the Freedom of Information Act, it seems to me that there are some people out there that ask for that stuff on a whim. They want they want everyone's cell phone records or computer files for the past 6 months, something like that. And to me, that becomes counterproductive. Let's try to all work together here. I understand what you're trying to do. It's people, let's be honest, it's you that does that. You're trying to stir the pot, is what you're trying to do.
That's what we need here in Methuen politics.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you're right. And you have every right to do that, and you do very well. And I commend you for the times I don't always agree, but I do commend you, as well as Jack Burke, for taking the microphone, because you care. We might not agree, but at least it shows that you and someone like Jack, you care about the city of Methuen.
Well, we appreciate those comments. Now, let me ask you this. It was publicly stated at a St. Patrick's Day luncheon that some on the city council had personal items found in the mayor colonoscopy results. Now, if you're elected to be the next city council for the Central District,
I'm not going to play that game.
What personal items of yours should the people find in the next mayor's colonoscopy results, or will he be getting a clean bill of health under a Jamie Atkinson?
That's a childish question. I'm not going to answer that question. Let's put it this way. I'm not associated with anyone. I respect all 4 of the mayor candidates. I think they will all do a great job, and I look forward to hopefully working with one of them in the near future. And they will get a clean bill of health with me, if that's what you're asking, if that's what the answer you want.
So there will be no test result, no personal items of yours being under and
I know you're dying to ask this question, so I'll answer it for you anyway. I am not tied in with anybody, okay? I know you may disagree with that, but I've asked different people what I should do, and certain people that I know you and some people believe are running my campaign basically advised me to not run for city council, but I wanted to do it anyway. It was my decision. I made the decision. No one made the decision for me. No one is making me run for city council.
Now, let me ask you one question that may come up if you're elected, and that's dealing with grant money. That usually ties the taxpayers to additional increases, whether it's through taxes or services or anything else. Where do you stand on the issue of grants that can be left open for taxpayers to actually pick up the tab?
See, when it comes to grants, again, I'll give you a different answer than what it does go case by case when it comes to the grant. But I'm a firm believer with the economy the way it is now. I wish that instead of doing those grants, they'd put that in a fund to help the taxpayers. Some grants are necessary, some are great grants, and they're used very well. But why not put that money in so taxpayers can save a little bit of money, as opposed to putting a grant so we can, paint a wall or something, I mean, why not use that money? I'm just using that as a hypothetical. Why not use that money to put in a fund so that the whole city can save a few dollars and the taxpayers can save a few dollars? When times are good, grants are great. When times are bad, I think you're better off putting into an overall fund for the state and city. Give each city X amount of dollars back, as opposed to putting a grant.
Great. Just want to remind the viewers, you are watching Behind the Scenes. I am your host, Hector Montalvo. If you have a question that you want us to ask government or legal representation, send us an email at thehectormontalvoshow@yahoo.com. You can also visit our webpage at behindthescenes.weebly.com, or look us up on Facebook /Behind the Scenes with Hector Montalvo. Mr. Atkinson, we have 2 minutes left, and I just wanted you to look at this camera here and basically tell the people why they should consider you for city council.
I'm usually in the other seat.
Yeah, that is correct.
There you go. Well, my name is Jamie Atkinson. I'm running for Central District City Council. I hope you consider me either in September or in November general election, depending on what happens. The city of Methuen is in transition right now with its local government. We are going to have a new mayor come January, as well as 4 different city councils, 2 of which in the Central District are going to be new city councilors. If I am fortunate enough to be elected, I am not going to have the 6-month to 1-year learning curve that some of my opponents may have. I'm going to jump in full gear, full throttle, and do everything I can to represent the Central District. I've studied the government, local government, over the past 4 years since I ran in '07. I've been vocal through many different venues. I've attended the city council meetings, the public hearings, as well as the school committee meetings. I've taken the microphone, I've spoken about concerns and issues of the constituents of Methuen. I hope you consider me as to be one of your 2 new city councilors in the Central District of Methuen. Feel free to give me a call, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether I get elected or not, prior to the election. 978-394-7912. I'll do everything I can to help you. And if I am elected, one thing I want to do is I want to set up weekly hours that people can meet if they have any issues, and we'll discuss those issues, come up with a game plan, set a time frame, put it in writing, and I will follow up on those issues.
And you do have a free ice cream event coming up pretty soon, correct?
I have a fundraiser coming up on August 18th at Java Joe's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Donations are asking $20 donations. Kids are free. We will be serving ice cream. There'll be a DJ there. There'll be coffee there as well. So feel free to come by. If you want to give me a call to get tickets, 978-394-7912. Anyone who wants to come by that can't afford the tickets, you're more than welcome. Call me and I will give you a comp ticket as well, and you can hear more about my platform. It should be a good time.
There you go. And that's going to be held at
Java Joe's on 7 Hampshire Street in Methuen, right in Methuen Square, August 18th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
So great. You people out there, registered voters or people that just want to get to know your candidates, here's an opportunity to come out and meet candidate Jamie Atkinson for the Central District. Bring your children, free ice cream for them. Jamie, I want to thank you for coming on the show and answering the questions that we've asked. Again, full disclosure, you are a friend of mine. We don't always agree on all the issues, but you still remain my friend, and I wish you luck in your run. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Behind the Scenes. I am your host, Hector Montalvo. Join us next time as we go behind the scenes to talk to all the candidates who are seeking your vote in this coming election, to ask the questions, bring you their responses, and we let you decide. Thank you for joining us.